Hi, guys. Really sorry I can't be there with you today, but you have an assignment that you're going to complete today in class, and I just want to show you how to do it, give you a little example, and explain a couple things to you. This won't take long, so pay attention so that you can get everything done. I know the work you're going to produce today is going to be great. I'm really excited to see what you guys can do just working independently. So we've been looking at primary sources in class, and we've been looking at their origin, which is who, what, where, and when, and their purpose, which is why. We've also begun looking at their value, which is what can we learn from it? How useful is it? How can we use it? And what's good about the source? What can we get from it? Then our L, we want to look at limitations. So is this source trustworthy? Is it reliable? Is there any intention behind it? Is there something behind the reason, the why, that maybe will change the trustworthiness of the source? So you're looking at OPVL, origin, purpose, value, and limitation. Remember a couple weeks ago, you guys looked at this source, and it was a picture of Pancho Villa out of a movie that was made in 1914. So you have all this great information here. It's a secondary source. Oops, that was not supposed to happen. The secondary source, they created it to show the battles of Pancho Villa. So we know a lot about this, right? Pancho Villa was a military leader in the Mexican Revolution. Here he is in the center. The Mutual Film Company had contact with Villa to film real and reenacted battle scenes. So it uses both real footage, actual footage, a primary source, and reenacted battle scenes to tell this story of his troops during the revolution. So we know that it's a secondary, but it actually uses primary sources. So this graphic organizer, which you guys have so beautifully filled out, you're going to learn how to turn this into a paragraph. I'm going to write one for you, and then I'm just going to let you go, and you're going to write one. So this is the secondary source. You guys have told me that. It actually incorporates primary sources. So let's go ahead and say that. So this is a secondary source that incorporates primary sources. So then what's the origin of this source? What is it? So the origin of this source is a what? It's a movie. It's a movie, plain and simple, right? And the oops. And this movie was written and created by who? By the Mutual Film Company, right? This is our origin. And then when was it written? It was written in 1914. The year was given to us. So this is really easy, right? We can just go in and fill out what we know about this. 1914. And we actually don't know exactly where all this took place, probably multiple locations, since some of it was probably filmed in Mexico, maybe some in the United States. We don't really know. So we'll just go ahead and say in the year 1914, in an unknown location. It's okay not to know everything about a source. Remember, we weren't alive back then, so we don't know everything that happened. So we'll just go ahead and write that in an unknown location. So why was this film made? What's the purpose? Well, it sounds like the purpose was to create a movie. So create a movie that showed, right? It showed battle scenes from the Mexican Revolution. Right? We go right back to the source, and that's what it says. It was a film, it was a movie, right? that showed real and reenacted battle scenes of Pancho Villa. So now what's the perspective? So this showed battle scenes and footage and information about Pancho Villa, right? So I'm gonna guess that this source shows us the perspective of Pancho Villa. That's pretty simple. This is your origin and your purpose. Now, what's the value of this source? I think a value is that the filmmaker actually worked so closely with Pancho Villa to get this source. It seems like really accurate information about the Mexican Revolution and Pancho Villa. So the value of this source is that the filmmaker worked with to so the filmmaker actually worked with Pancho Villa to create the film. Now, not everyone's value of a film is going to be the same or of any source. You might learn something else. Something that I learned from this is that in 1914, films were still silent. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So he worked with Pancho Villa to create the film. That's valuable to me. To me, that says that that's reliable. So something useful that this source can show us, right, is that there's actual battle scenes from the Mexican Revolution and how Pancho Villa remembers them. So something useful this source can show us is real footage of battles from the Mexican Revolution and perspective of the events. A limitation A limitation is that it probably doesn't include both sides of the story. Remember, the filmmaker just worked with Pancho Villa. They didn't work with multiple members, military members, on either side of the Mexican Revolution. So let's write that up. A limitation of the film is that it doesn't include military military leaders from the other side. Another limitation might be that some of that reenacted footage might not actually be that accurate. So let's go ahead and put that in too. We don't know because we weren't there. Accurate just means true. So accurate or reliable. Remember, reliable means trustworthy. So we don't know how accurate or reliable the reenacted scenes are from the movie. So why is this a limitation? Well, we don't see the perspective of the other side. And if we don't know how reliable the reenacted scenes are, then we can't see the whole story. So I'm running out of time for this video. This is an example of how to make an OPVL into a paragraph. It should be two paragraphs, the OP and the VL. I have posters up all over the room in the front and above the closets You have sentence stems in your assignment.